Thank you so much to our amazing Patreon sponsors, Royal Perp, SNS, Minnesota Wax, Film Swag, and Dr. Dread. Hello everyone, my name is AndrewAJT, and today I want to talk about what will happen when old school RuneScape ends. Now, I don't actually know the answer to this, and I don't think it will happen anytime soon. Right now, as I'm recording this, there's over 90,000 people playing. I think the game is doing okay as it is right now, but maybe someday the game will come to an end, and that could be decades away. We just don't know. There are a few reasons that this could happen, and the few that come to mind would be that the game probably has an aging player base. I mean, a lot of us are in our 20s or 30s, and are we going to play this game forever? Maybe for some of us the answer is no. At the moment, it seems like there are enough new players to supplement a good player base, but could that go on forever? Again, we don't know. Another couple issues I think are problems long term is the lack of a robust customer support system. I think this has always been a drain on the quality of the game long term and should be addressed. We should have a comprehensive system of customer support for old school RuneScape, which we just don't have now. And if that doesn't change, I think that could hurt the game long term. Another issue is some of the updates in the past few years have been glitchy or buggy on release, and I think that games or franchises that start to develop a reputation of being glitchy or buggy tend to lose some players over time in some cases. There's lots of great video game franchises that aren't as popular anymore after they released games that felt unfinished or packed with glitches. But with all that being said, OSRS is still a very good game, and that's why it's very popular right now. But you do see Jagex even starting to branch out a little bit. Like they announced recently they are going to publish a game called Melver Idol. They're working with a developer for that game to publish it. So maybe they are thinking that we should branch out a bit just in case RuneScape doesn't last forever. That's just speculation though, I don't know what they're actually thinking, but it does make sense for them to publish other games in addition to RuneScape. But anyways, the reason I've been thinking about this topic of video game preservation is because recently Nintendo announced for the Switch a $50 annual Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack, which is an absurd price, where you can download and play Nintendo 64 and Genesis games in addition to some Animal Crossing DLC. And the reason I don't love this idea is because you don't actually really own those N64 and Genesis games. You can only play them as long as you have an active subscription, so you could play them and have save files on them and make a lot of progress, and then someday if you end your subscription, you will no longer have access to those games, so it's almost like it's a rental. And there are even questions about regular digital games that you do own, because if you buy a game digitally and then you have it downloaded, let's say in the future the ability to re-download that game goes away, these servers are shut down. Well, then if you lose your digital download, like if your console breaks, for example, then you might lose access to that game permanently. There's actually a whole website about this topic called delistedgames.com, which chronicles games from many platforms that have been removed from their servers. This is the reason I prefer, if possible, to buy physical versions of games, whether it be a cartridge or a disc, because at least it kind of feels like you actually own the game at that point. You could use it with different consoles or computers depending on what type of game it is, compared to a digital download where it's only just an icon on your screen. This isn't a perfect solution though, because physical media can be lost or damaged, and also in many cases save data and patches are not stored directly on them. And in general, it feels like gaming is moving away from game ownership and more towards subscription-based services, or even sometimes cloud-based gaming. Like for example, the Kingdom Hearts trilogy is coming to the Switch, but it's cloud-based, so you don't actually have the games on your console, you just connect to a server to play the games there. Now, this all only partially applies to old school RuneScape, because RuneScape kind of has to be a server-based game, because there is no single player in RuneScape. Even if you're playing an Iron Man, what you do in game can affect other players. Like, you can drop an item and someone else can pick it up, or you could be fighting a boss and another person might come by and have to hop worlds. There can't really be a single-player offline version of RuneScape in its current form. Even if you just get a farming level or something, you are affecting the rest of the game because the high scores will update when you log out. So it does make me kind of worry what will happen when old school RuneScape ends. Will we just lose access to the game permanently and all our accounts are going to be gone and inaccessible and all the progress that we made in the game is just going to be lost forever? And if you think this is impossible, well, just look at what happened to RuneScape Classic. Those servers are gone. There is no official way to play RuneScape Classic anymore at all. My account on there is gone. I can't play it. My items and stats and bank, they're all completely gone. I can't access them anymore. And of course, RuneScape Classic, when it was shut down, had very few people playing it compared to the main game, and there were concerns about glitches. So you can see why they shut it down, but it's unfortunate that there really was no way to continue playing for those dedicated players that were still playing it. Now that leads me to the question, what will happen when or if old school RuneScape ends? If it does ever end. Who knows, maybe the game will last another 500 years, or maybe it'll never end. But if it does end within a few decades, my number one question would be, could all of our accounts and progress just be gone, and we could never play the game again? So I think there actually could be a good solution for this, and the one that comes to mind would be for Jagex to potentially sell offline copies of the game when that time comes. And I think this would be awesome to be able to buy either a download or even a physical disc or something of the entire game of old school RuneScape to be able to play even without an internet connection. That would be amazing. I don't know how feasible that is. I mean, I don't know what type of file size the game would be, or if it could be adapted for offline single player experiences, but I think it certainly would be possible, and it would be awesome if Jagex does go this route in the future. And perhaps our accounts could be preserved this way as well. If you were able to get a copy that has your account built into it, that would be really cool as well. And maybe you could still play with other players with like a peer-to-peer connection type of thing. That might get a little bit complicated because everyone's games might get out of sync, so there would have to be some work done to figure out a solution for that. I think this all could be possible from a technical perspective, but the only question would be as to whether or not Jagex is willing to release a offline copy of their game. We don't know the answer to that either. Maybe they could even do a test run right now with RuneScape Classic. Maybe they could sell copies of RuneScape Classic on Steam or something. I would certainly buy that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think OSRS will ever come to an end? If so, why? And also, what would be the best solution for us to be able to continue playing in some form? Also, what do you think about gaming moving towards more cloud-based or server-based or digital-only type of games? It's certainly more convenient than owning a bunch of physical copies of games, but let me know what you think in the comments. The only thing that I'm certain of is that if there ever is a last day of old school RuneScape, I will certainly be very sad, and I will make an effort to do some Dagonoth Kings and play some Castle Wars until the very moment that the servers go offline. What would you spend the day doing on the very last day of old school RuneScape? If you want to learn more about the early days of OSRS, I have a dedicated video about this, link in the end screen or description. Thank you all so much for watching. That's all my thoughts for today. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already, and you can turn bell notifications to all so you get notified of when I upload a new video. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram down below, and you can join my chat channel and clan chat in-game, AndrewAJT62. And if you want to support the channel even further, you can check out my Patreon page in the end screen. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next video.